on the third episode of the Fission podcast. I know we went a bit backwards last time with MGS 2. Now we're doing Metal Gear Solid 1. And I'm the host, Fred. And now we're being hosted by PlayStationHaven.com, thanks to a friend of mine, Anthony Johnson. And here we got two guests. We got Robbie Singh from the Snake Soup, last time. Hey. And Everardo Guzman from the Metal Gear Solid Fan Club Facebook. I'm just an admin there. I used to admin there.
Just an average Joe who loves the series.
Right. And we're just gonna talk about Metal Gear Solid 1. And Metal Gear Solid 1 came around 1998. And what were you guys doing back then? Did you play it when it first came out?
Me, no. I actually, I was on the Nintendo 64 boat, alright? But a lot of my friends either had a PlayStation, like they were on the PlayStation boat, or they had both. And it was a title that stood out. I mean, I was busy playing, I don't know, fucking Zelda or whatever, but I knew of Metal Gear Solid, and it was very appealing to me. I didn't get a PlayStation because there wasn't much games that I really cared about necessarily, but Metal Gear Solid, like, stood out, and I kind of felt like, you know, if I were to get a PlayStation, I would definitely get that game. I would come over to a friend's house and watch him play, and I helped him go through the torture sequence with Ocelot and Snake, which that really fucked up my arm as a child. So.
I remember using a guitar pick to
everyone has a little trick like that. I know someone. I use a spoon if I'm doing the European Extreme MGS2 torture, which is the worst fucking thing ever.
Right. Yeah.
I was a cheater. I had the.
And Ocelot didn't get you?
It was my.
Because he said he would get you. Oh.
No. It was the Mad Catz controller, and for somehow he wasn't able to. You know, he never found.
Wow! Kudos to Mad Catz and shit.
Well, he could kill you in Extreme on freaking the Twin Snakes. I've tried it before with the GameCube turbo controller. He'll just go as fast.
Yeah, he'll definitely know in the Twin Snakes.
But my experience with MGS1, I mean, I think you've probably heard this the first episode if you're kept up with my podcast. I had the Pizza Hut demo disc, so
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that in English, and then like the one that came on the with my PlayStation, because I bought one in '98. It had in Japanese, and I remember kind of the David Hayter was called Sean Barker. Back then, mainly because they didn't want to pay for union fees. I think, is that right?
That's what I heard. It had something to do with unions or contractual issues or something. Although David Hayter did end up just using his name in the final product, right?
Yeah, he just said fuck it.
Yeah, I think the other ones definitely they were using fake names.
Yeah, but you could tell who they were, dude.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. No, and the main plot line for Metal Gear Solid 1 was that Snake was pulled out of retirement once again to infiltrate Shadow Moses, which is terrorist occupied nuclear weapons disposal facility. And I kind of remember just playing that demo, and then the DARPA chief died. I think the demo stopped at the right point in the game, just to give you add the suspense, and especially with that that little game over screen and the stinger at the end. The demo, it was kind of like the MGS2 demo.
Yeah, definitely. I had that same demo disc as well, and it was pretty awesome playing that over and over again.
Yeah, and then you really can't really go without talking about MGS1, and people wind up talking about the localization efforts, and you're pretty Ryan was pretty familiar with what happened between Blaustein and Scott Dolph, the guy sitting on his ass, getting in and out.
Uh, I mean, do you blame him? In-N-Out is pretty good, although I think there are better burgers. There's better burgers in California. Just letting people know that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, Ryan. I took him to In-N-Out. That's the first thing we did. He liked it.
Oh, awesome! I'm glad you did that. Yeah, the localization effort was outstanding. I think to date that it might be the best in the series. Because I'm trying to think back, and nothing else kind of seemed plausible in terms of the character voicing and the way it was written. It just, I mean, I love Metal Gear Solid 2, but most of that, like, the dialogue just felt like a terrible anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, Snake Eater was also, better than MGS2 in terms of dialogue, but even that, it like felt kind of like a video game still. Metal Gear Solid 1, it had that like film feel in terms of the voice acting and dialogue.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate that the quality of the recording was not good because they couldn't reuse it in Metal Gear Solid 4. They had to resort to the Twin Snakes recordings, which were not as good by a long shot. I know it's a controversial subject, but the voice acting in the Twin Snakes does not compare with that in the original. Just listen to Naomi Hunter.
Not.
I mean, that's
especially the scene when she like reveals about Gray Fox and stuff. That was boring. I usually skip that when I replay that game because it's so fucking boring.
Which is tragic because if you hear that same speech in the original, she has a lot of emotion going on. It's very convincing that this person had a tragic background and just very spiteful of this person, Solid Snake, and wants to enact revenge against them, while at the same time realizing that perhaps Snake isn't even that bad of a guy in the long run term. You didn't get that into Twin Snakes. You just got like a lecture. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know David Hayter kind of he basically like sacrificed half his paycheck to get it run back on board.
That's true, which makes it even more unfortunate, because it's like this guy like really wanted the original cast back. He cuts his own paycheck in half, and this is the result.
Right, but just to be fair, the Mailing's accent, you gotta compare it to the one in 1 and Twin Snakes and 4. It didn't make much sense, but the whole I remember reading a Hardcore Gaming 101 interview with Jeremy. He just basically said the reason why she had a Chinese accent was to differentiate the characters, because you're always going to be in the static screen, right, the codec screen, and that's where the majority of the dialogue was. So it would be great to have the player have something like have the player to recognize characters through a unique voice. I guess he didn't want everyone to sound the same, basically.
See, I thought I was fine with it because I actually do know some people who, they're actually born and raised in the United States, but I don't know if it's because they spend so much time with their family, but they have like a slight accent. So, I mean, I guess if you're talking about canon, Mei Ling does not have an accent, and which also makes sense because there's plenty of people who, born and raised in the United States, and they don't have an accent that's, typical of, I don't know, their parents or whatever.
Right. And,
I miss Natasha's accent, though. I'm not going to lie.
Oh.
Natasha sounded really she was hot. Yeah.
It's like, that's so good. You found this so. I'm glad, as much as I give a bad rap for Rising, I'm glad they brought back really cheesy accents and them putting in foreign language stuff. I mean, it started with Peace Walker. They started putting Spanish terms in it. So,
yeah.
So that kind of helped give it that air of authenticity. Starting with Started with 1.
Although in
and-
MGS5, it looks like they're actually using like the actual language, which is like even more interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
was in the
even if
demo. Mhm.
you get an interpreter, it's going to be subtitled. They don't change the voice. So in Afghanistan, the Soviets are straight up speaking Russian, and that's very interesting. I kind of like that actually.
yeah, that's
Do you think that they ever tried to do that in Metal Gear Solid 2? Like maybe they wanted to do that for
I
that
don't know,
game?
but the voices in Metal Gear Solid 2, nothing here. You know, you just I don't know what to say about that. It's almost a joke, honestly.
yeah. It's basically like the typical those 60 like Cold War era Bond guards just talking about. But besides that, like you when you go through the game, you kind of if you played the first 2 Metal Gear games, there's a lot of elements that are pulled down. Like you get chased through a staircase and shoot a bunch of people. You get jumped in the elevator. And people try to ambush you. You fight a fucking Hind-D helicopter. I mean, which was in the first one, but the fight feels like it's the one in the Metal Gear
Second
2
one.
yeah,
Where it's
yeah,
actually flying around, yeah.
yeah, that's actually flying around and warming up the card key. It was far worse in Metal Gear 2. I remember just getting confused on which card key, because I would always, like, one time I just got so confused in that game that I kept on warming up the wrong card key, because it was the one for the locker, right?
Yeah.
You know the one where you get the brooch?
Yeah, yeah.
It was like, oh god, oh, it's the other key. It took me like 2 hours to figure that out when one playthrough it.
Wait, so you had already played the original 2 Metal Gears before, around the time when Metal Gear Solid 1 came out? You had
No.
already
I
the original
played
2?
them after on the emulator. I couldn't finish 2, so I just found some save state somewhere. Maybe it was a steak soup.
We did have save states, so.
Yeah. Then I just like skipped to like the part where like Nastasha gets blown up by a gray fox and the bridge blows up, which is like in MGS3. Like the bridge is kind of like a trope in the series. The bridge is usually where some shocking turn of events happen, right? Like
Yeah.
in MGS, where the boss defects and stuff, or when Liquid reveals himself in the helicopter in MGS1 because the bridge was
Yeah.
there
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. You know what? And after back to like how the plot goes. After you go save the DARPA chief, he dies, and it really used the the DualShock controller really well. The force feedback, the heart attack. It was very subtle too. It actually had a different vibration than just a straight up shaking thing. It went.
It almost made you feel like you were
Yeah,
going to have a heart
basically.
attack.
Basically.
Metal Gear Solid 1 definitely utilized the PlayStation. I remember the DualShock controller itself was fairly new at the time, and it used vibration, it used the analog sticks. You had to switch to controller port if you really wanted to have a chance at fighting Psycho Mantis.
That was just mind fucking blowing. I was 9 years old when I first played Metal Gear Solid 1 with my big brother in the room. We were fighting Psycho Mantis, and he moves the controller, and I was just like, "What the fuck is going on? What is
It
this?"
tells you like Castlevania.
Yeah.
I never played Castlevania during that time, so I didn't have that in my memory card. But
Yeah, I actually have like on my PS3 there's a memory card just with all the Konami saves on it, just to make him say everything. Because he could read a lot of games. He reads Suikoden, he could read Vandal Hearts, and what's that other game? I think Vandal Hearts was the first thing that Jeremy translated when he became freelance. Obviously he worked on Stature. But when he went freelance, the first thing he worked on Vandal Hearts, which was actually produced by Badass Ken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he worked on that, and Ken worked on. He produced Silent Hill also. So because I remember on and some dating sim, he on his Twitter he just said he was working all nighters and he remembers working on that and feeling good about it. Well, used to be feeling good about it. I was more feeling about that. Yeah, and he and you go and after the Darver Chief dies, you meet up with Marrow. I remember like when you didn't get the gun, like he would just like put his hand over like the muzzle of the assault rifle, and just kind of just bat out of the way. That was kind of cool. It had subtle things if you didn't do certain things in the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it pretty much yeah, that's a very Kojima thing because I remember like in MGS2 when if you just use the dart gun all the way through, like Snake in the cutscene would have the dart gun. And unfortunately, that didn't carry over to like MGS3 or 4, which kind of sucked.
4 actually had the annoying thing where it would often switch your weapon for you. So
Yeah.
you would have like a completely different weapon, and then in the cutscene, Snake's using the operator. It's like okay, and then it goes back to gameplay, and you have the operator, and you're just like I don't want this.
Right. It's,
Yeah.
it's kind of a shitty gun, anyways. I just used the best gun in it. It's like the Mark II. That's all you needed to use it in game. And then after that, you go, you blow up walls, and then you see, President Baker tied up, and Assad comes in and says
This is the best gun ever.
There's nothing like slamming along silver bullets into a well-greased chamber. Well, thanks, Jeremy, man. For the one time, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was on purpose, but that was kind of so funny. And and then the Baker dies. Gray Fox shows up. And then what was interesting about Baker, I remember in the MGS1, he said like something like, when he's talking about Metal Gear and how it was funded by the black budget and stuff, he's all like, no one could bother you, not even those hard liberals at the Military Oversight Committee.
Oh yeah.
I hate how they kind of changed that at Twin Snakes. I think if you talk to like some guy like who works at Lockheed, he'd probably say the same fucking thing to you, like really candidly.
Yeah, it felt more natural and made more sense. I mean, that is something you definitely hear from people working in military contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah, really, really hawkish people.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was a bunch. I don't know why they did that.
I think the character flaw line was the worst change back in the Train 6.
Oh yeah. Blotstein pointed it out. I think it's mainly had to do. It was supposed to be a pun in Japanese, right?
Yeah.
So it's if you say, let me go pull up the interview here. Hold on. Hold on.
Well, did President Baker have the same voice actor in
Yeah.
Twin Snakes?
I believe
as
so,
the one
yeah.
From the original?
Yeah, it did. It was just that line was changed. Yeah, here's what he was gonna say. It's like, so basically, that was a literary translated line into 6. It was kind of like, he gives like, Flossie kind of gives this example on this Hardcore Gaming 101 interview. It's like, it's not a Inu, it's a Dogu. Or some shit like that. I don't know. It's something that probably works better in Japanese than it would in English. So
Well,
it
yeah,
had to be
because
changed.
in the Twin Snakes, what they ended up doing to keep it as close to the Japanese script was, Otacon says, it's not a weak point, more like a weakness. And whereas in the Blaustein translation was, it's not a weak point, I like to think of it more of the character flaw.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that definitely works. Whereas it's not a weak point, more like a weakness. It's like, okay.
It's really redundant.
I mean, the character flaw line stuck out for me more in the original. That stuck with me. It was a pretty good.
Yeah.
Line.
I feel like in terms of the English language, character flaw it just works way better. In terms
Yeah.
of what that line is actually trying to say.
Yeah, with two, I kind of like when I first played it, I kind of lost track of what was going on when I first played it. Again, because it's a very mysterious game at first. You know, Sons of Liberty, but
Yeah.
yeah, and after that. Remember, you know, you fight the tank, you go get a ninja part. I really like the part before you fight the ninja. That was really very atmospheric. It almost had a horror vibe to it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Even though the one in Twin Snakes, you know, looks cooler. I mean, it does make sense why he could do stuff like dodge bullets, unlike Snake.
Yeah. I feel like the ninja scenes in the Twin Snakes were the only ones that made any sense.
Yeah, though I kind of partial to the part, you know, like when you escape from the base, like the last part of the game where he kind of just dodges bullets. He does like that twirl, and then they'd have like a fist fight like in between the jeeps. That was kind of Mission Impossible 2-ish, you know, like kind of like the part where the motorcycles are just like fucking spinning. Very John Woo inspired, I can tell you that. and the music was a hell of a lot more creepier in the first one. It was maybe at some points unsettling compared to the one in Twin Snakes, which kind of sounded like some generic.
It was very dark and very atmospheric compared to
it sounded like
Snakes,
techno,
yeah.
but I think that guy who worked in the music of Twin Snakes, I think he works for KP because I think I see his name in the credits in Ground Zeroes, like Steve Henfelin after Silicon Knights went bankrupt.
Hmm.
So he has a job. Well, for now.
Speaking of, it is pretty funny that because Silicon Knights made the Twin Snakes, for the longest time, if you were to Google Silicon Knights and it'd show up in the results, it would say Silicon Knights, and below it'd say the creators of, and it would list like original stuff they actually made, like Eternal Darkness, but it also said the Metal Gear series, and it's like, no, they did a remake that's a part of the Metal Gear series, but they're not the creators of the Metal Gear series.
Right.
And I remember Dennis Dyack was promising all kinds of shit in the Twin Snakes that just was not in there.
Oh yeah, like you had the lighting system of Doom 3, which is kind of a half-truth. Because they did rewrite the lighting system, but you didn't really see it used for its full potential in the actual game.
He said he was going to push for VR missions, and he said, he said something along the lines like, it would be tragic to the fans if we didn't do something like that. So Dennis Dyack indirectly has called the Twin Snakes a tragedy because there's no VR missions in it.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not that bad of a game, but I think it's kind of like, it's kind of like when you talk to people about the Star Wars Special Editions and the Star Wars. It's like the whole translation stuff kind of reminds me of like Frito shot first. I mean, Han shot first. Han fucking shot first. That's why they do. That's basically what I think when I was trying to. Because I used to remember almost every time most of the lines in the original game, and then it's why is it different? What the hell happened? Why is it different? That's what I thought. Even as a kid, when I went to my first E3, I played the Twin Snakes demo, and then I'm like, why does that people sound different too? And that is why. That's why I still think MGS1 is probably the definitive version of Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, for sure. I mean, hands down, man. The Twin Snakes it's hard to explain. I personally feel like it's kind of in ways broken. Like
yeah, because you could knock out Ocelot in 2 seconds, headshot.
I think it's pretty fun to have a different take on the game itself. And it's just fun to play, just to have something different. But the original will always be the one that you have to go.
See, here's my thing with it. when did it come out? Like 2003?
It was going to come out 2003, but it got delayed for a few months and went into spring.
That's true. All right, 2004. So, so like 6 years after, Metal Gear Solid, did we really need a remake? Because they're talking about a remake like using the Fox engine, and it's like, well, that actually could be cool.
How did people react to it when they announced it?
People are excited.
Yeah, I was excited. I thought it would be like, oh my god, it's gonna be like the Resident Evil remake. It was kind of
yes, because you this was on the GameCube and it was fresh after the Resident Evil remake being released, so that's the standard people held it to. And I don't think it met up at all.
Oh no, it wasn't as polished or rebalanced as the remake. Because like when you look at the wolves. There's like, okay, I was a QA tester for a few years, right? So you saw like the shadows kind of clip into each other on the wolves. That's called Z fighting, and that if Kojima saw that, he'd say fix that, like now. Or another...
I don't want to blame Silicon Knights. It was just a weird project in general. It was like Nintendo, Konami gets together, they agree on a remake for GameCube. It kind of felt rushed. I think they were definitely told to finish it as soon as possible. And they relied on, I think they used the Metal Gear Solid 2 engine.
Yeah, and like...
for the GameCube.
Yeah, right. And then just to add to that, like, I remember, I think this is kind of an oversight. It might not be just the bug. They probably just left it. Like, when you get spotted and then you go back into the water in the dock, right?
Yeah.
The guards could actually fire at you because the AI could do that now. And if you get hit, it sounds like Raiden. It's like Quentin Flint's voice when he gets hit.
I need to try that.
I think the reason being was that the way that sound files are done, they're just attached to certain character models, and they just couldn't find a workaround. They couldn't just have David Hayter make crunching noises when he gets hit, because he didn't even swim in the tanker chapter. So
yeah.
So that's probably why they were just using like borrowed code. And what sucks is that most of the comments in the source code was in Japanese, so they had to ship people KP or KCJ as they were called at the time to help people out.
I never even noticed that, and I just played.
Yeah, just try that. I swear to God, you can hear it. If it's really, it is right. It is Quentin Flynn's yelling instead of David Hayter or something.
Did you guys notice the slowdown in some scenes?
Yeah.
And frame rate issues.
Like if there's like the opening teleport. Yeah, you can see a lot of that, and if you get spotted, you'll see that frame rate dip.
Yeah, actually, I think I know what you're talking about. Does it happen when
it
you
would
get
depend.
spotted?
Usually, it's if there's a lot of enemies on screen or something like that.
Okay.
I think it was a symptom of them porting a game engine that was designed specifically for the PlayStation 2 to the GameCube, and then not really completely optimizing it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about that game is that it had, before you get to Rex's hangar, that long hallway that you have to cross where all the cameras are at. If you look down below, there's a waterfall and everything, right? And it looks like there's another hallway all the way at the bottom, and that started like a big debate online and on the forums. People were trying to figure out because it looked like you would be able to climb down the ladder and get to this room in that section, and that was a pretty cool thing that people discussed for a long time. The forums that I frequently visit.
Were you able to?
No, it's you can't get to that spot. I guess it was like an unfinished thing that the team didn't.
Yeah, see, I feel like Silicon Knights did legitimately want to do stuff like that. I mean, I remember in the Metal Gear hangar, you can actually change the key card using pipes. There's like a pipe that had like something hot in it, so you shoot it and you get hit a little bit, you lose a little health, but the card on you the heat is applied to it, so you quickly change that. And I thought that was kind of cool, stuff like that, where it's like minor changes that work with the new gameplay style. I think the tank bot battle itself was different, and it's a good way because the gameplay is different. You need something like that. The Ocelot boss battle should have been different because they kept the same one, so you just use the first-person mode and just destroy them.
Yeah, even on extreme, you can just do that, and it's like a non-fight. And what else was there?
Vulcan Raven's fight. Was
Yes.
Oh,
easier too,
you just have to go prone in with the dart gun and then just shoot him in the head a bunch of times. I've done that. So, because that really broke that battle. Because the Vulcan Raven battle, it basically kind of encompasses it basically encompasses the basic gameplay of Metal Gear Solid, but it applies it to a boss battle. It was kind of like like in old games where the boss is supposed to be something to test your skill. This was where you see something that tests your skill in stealth, right? And just flanking him. That was the whole point of that boss fight. And I think it's like, out of all the boss fights, like Psycho Mantis, I think the Raven fight kind of encapsulate what Metal Gear Solid is about. It's like it's a game of cat and mouse, basically.
Mm-hmm. In the original, that was an intense fight.
Oh yeah, like on extreme, he'd just run up and just fucking fire like crazy. Yeah, and there's the Sniper Wolf fight, like the second one, like after you beat her, dude. That's kind of one of the saddest moments in the Metal Gear series.
In all of it.
I can rank that up towards Eris's death. To be quite honest with you guys. Because it's really sad. I think in both versions, Tassia Valenza, she did a pretty good job on both versions. She wasn't on autopilot.
Yeah.
Either because she was like I think Jerry said she was like a soap opera actress before. Like
that makes sense.
Like Days of Our Lives, she was nominated for a Daytime Emmy or something. So she always brings. I think she always brings her A game to anything, basically. And
I had no idea about the Nikita missile trick during that boss fight. I had no idea for so many years, and then I hear about it now, and I tried it, and I was like,
dude, I saw that Metal Gear net, and I used it. It's like, hey, this is an easier way to use this fight, and then I kind of used it.
The first time I did that second wolf battle, I ran out of PSG-1 bullets. And, I mean, they regenerate around the area, but I didn't want to bother. So I just pulled out the Nikita and it's like, will this work? And it totally does.
Yeah. Yeah. And, what other thing I like about, the first one over Twin Snakes? Maybe besides the cutscenes, maybe the acting and the script. It's just atmosphere.
The briefing files. The briefing files.
Yeah,
in
the briefing
original
files were a
so
lot
much
better
better
looking to me.
What, you don't like Snake and his boxers?
No, I like the pixel art. I like the pixel art in one.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it was Shinkawa's art too.
Yeah.
And
And like you guys said, I mean, the voice acting is different in the briefing files as well.
And the translation, dude. Like, I remember, I could. He says, like, remember when they talk about nostalgia? He says, like, California seems like 1,000,000 miles away. It's just the way he said it. It sounded so cool. Like hand-ins of it compared to Twin Snakes. He's like, California's a lot different than this place. No shit, Snake.
That's funny.
Shit, Snake. And then, like, in the briefing, I remember, like, he in Twin Snakes, he does like a gun thing, like a 007 thing. Sounds like a spy movie. I remember X-Play used to make fun of. They made fun of it in reviews, so they kept on repeating it. Sounds like a spy movie. Spy. Oh god, it's just oh god. If someone just says it's better than the original, I'm probably just want to go to your house and just take all your copies of Metal Gear and just leave you with MGS for it. But okay, let me just try to find a positive besides some of the rebalanced stuff in the game.
Well, at least Liquid looks cooler in the Twin Snakes.
Well, he looked.
than
I
he
mean,
does
they're supposed to be identical. They basically just copy a Boston Snake's character model and just made him have a blonde, hair looking thing. I mean, it's not that. It's probably not hard to model. He just probably ripped his model.
He does look he does look more like Sean Bean in the Twin Snakes than in the original.
Yeah, definitely. I for a long time, I would have wanted Sean Bean to be Liquid, and it'd be another character where he gets killed.
Poor 006.
Yeah, the only movie I've seen him survive in a movie was this movie based off of some SAS operation where this guy was captured by some Iraqis and they basically freed him.
I think he survived in Silent Hill as well.
He survives in Silent Hill. I was about to say that.
Right. I kind of like the first Silent Hill film. Not like the second one was atrocious. Like you had pyramid head fighting. Like okay, it's like a bad fan.
They turned Pyramid Head into a good guy.
Yeah, they made him
in the second one.
Made him like an anti-hero or some shit for no reason. What the fuck was wrong with? There's a lot of things wrong with that movie. I just, but
I like how the booklet. I like how the booklet in Metal Gear Solid had an ad for.
Yeah, I remember that.
The first Silent Hill game.
Yeah, and it kind of had like a glossary too, like what are nano machines. Stuff like that. What's start? What's MPT? Just a kind of a side note. Besides that, Jeremy did a lot of research on.
Yeah.
He read a lot of military novels by Dick Marchenko. Dick Marchenko was a founder of SEAL Team 6. He wrote novels like Rogue Warrior. I know there's a game called Rogue Warrior, which is based off of him, and the character. It has Mickey Rourke. It's a really shitty first-person shooter. For PS3, Rogue Warrior. I just $2 at GameStop. I'm probably gonna go stream as a Kusoge shit game, just to laugh at it because it's really bad. It's terrible. It's god awful.
Mad Max hasn't had a good game yet. Until this
it does look good.
One looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
The new one.
It's coming the same day too. I might buy.
It's coming out the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5, man. What the fuck? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, what a horrible.
Well,
yeah.
It's a lot better than when they released the HD collection the same day as Modern Warfare 3.
Yes.
I don't know whose brilliant idea was that, but
I will say I purchased the HD collection, not Call of Duty.
I was working at Activision. I had a copy a few days beforehand, dude.
Oh yeah, because you were working. Yeah,
I was working on it. So I walked to the GameStop line of people. I got to cut in line some collection, and this kid was at me. So I just said, "What? You don't want a game that criticizes work?" And I walked away. And I was actually with Brian, the short Mexican kid.
Yeah.
He's like, and I just did a high five, and we drove home. Oh man, this new gen of games don't know. At least there's Black Ops Line, which is a damn fine game. It's a really good deconstruction of military shooters right there.
Going back to the Twin Snakes, did you guys hate how when Snake and Meryl first meet, and the whole you have the eyes of the rookie or whatever, but she's able to snatch the gun away from him in that cutscene in the Twin
But
Snakes. I was like,
it
what?
shows, you can clearly see that in the MGS1 one. She was like, shaking her gun and just going something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Twin Snakes had all kinds of fuckery going on in the cutscenes. I think it was when he meets... Oh yeah, I remember. He meets Baker, right? And he gets like mad because Baker forgets the code, and he pulls out the gun and puts it to his head.
Oh god.
Like, if you just think about what that implies about Snake, just this fucking... because Solid Snake is supposed to be like kind of like cool and calm and like... that's kind of why he's like a badass. Here, he's just like, you forgot a code? Like, I should execute you, fucking mafia style.
He's a loose cannon.
And then I remember
Right.
when Otacon was like, kind of like defending himself in terms of developing Metal Gear. Like, Snake does get like irritated in the original. In this one, it almost seems like he wanted to kick his ass. Like,
Right.
oh, you think it's a nuclear weapon, you fucking asshole, like, whoa, calm down. Like, this guy just peed his pants.
Wake up, you idiot. Yeah.
And what else was there? Like, I'm glad they kept some of the lines in Twin Snakes, like weapons and equipment, OSP. Because OSP is not even a real military term. It's just some thing Jeremy made up just to make it sound more like authentic, like military sounding. Like, just because I think, let me go look at this interview. Like, he basically, like, the original Japanese for, was it was literally translated as like, so I'm gonna go acquire my weapons on site, or something, which is in Japanese it's Genshi Chotatsu. So he had to take the spirit of it by doing, like, because it's very formal sounding in Japanese version. So he just said, I'm just going to use weapons and equipment OSP. I remember even the movie Philanthropy used that line. And even fucking MGS5 does too.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I wonder why. Yeah, I'm not going to, I'm glad.
Maybe they'll use it in the movie. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, does everyone remember? Yeah,
the Metal Gear Solid 1 movie. I hope it's going to be based off Metal Gear Solid 1.
I hope so.
I want the Metal Gear Solid movie to be one of two things. Either it's going to be a really good movie, that'll be good, obviously.
Yeah.
You get to watch an enjoyable movie based on something that we all enjoy. Alternatively, if we can't have a really good movie, I want it to be the shittiest thing ever. Because at least then we could watch and just laugh. There's no way I'll go see the Metal Gear Solid movie and be mad, because it's either going to be good and I'll have a good time, or it's going to be shitty and I'm just going to be like laughing at this fucking thing.
Yeah, but I don't think the choice for, screenwriter gives me any comment. Who the fuck?
The choice for the director is good. He's you can tell he's
he actually likes video games, because if you watch Kings of Summer, like the opening song, like they're playing fucking Street Fighter 2. Some kids are playing on their SNES, and then you hear like there's like some of the music in the movie has some like clips, like some loops from like Super Metroid, for fuck's sake. Yeah.
Exactly, but like you said, the choice for the screenwriter, I have never heard.
Why
of
can't you just fucking get David Hayter? Can you just put two together? He has a treatment ready. He has a fucking treatment ready.
I even asked him about the treatment at Alamo City Comic Con, and he said, "Yeah, it was going to be about Metal Gear Solid 1. I pitched it to Sony or whatever, but they didn't get back to me."
I'd rather have him do that. I think he's the only one person in Hollywood, that can do it, because he actually has some a lot of familiarity with the franchise. It's not like they got like whoever they're getting, this guy who does direct to DVD movies. I'm like, Sony Pictures, what the fuck are you doing? Why don't you just ass hater, go approach him. And there's just the whole fallout between Konami and and KP. Maybe they could get him. Maybe they can, because they if they want like a decent or to good script, you better get him, because it's I don't know. I don't know. Also, what I think, has anyone here watched Silicon Valley by any chance?
No.
Okay. So, the main guy, the character's Richard, he's like I think that guy could play a good Otacon, to be honest with you. His name's Richard Hendricks. No, the actor's name. I'm sorry, that's the character's name. The actor's name is Thomas Middleditch. I think he's kind of a friend with the guy who directs the supposedly directed the Metal Gear movie, because he was in Kings of Summer too. He was like a cop, like a random cop or something. And
well, there you go. He's already worked with
Jordan Block Roberts. Yeah,
Roberts.
And come on, look at him. He look kind of like a nerdy looking guy, anyways. He can pull it off. If you just look at a picture of him, come on, he'd be a pretty good Otacon, to be quite honest with you. And
I know I've seen a movie recently where I thought to myself that this actor would be a good Otacon, but I can't remember the movie right now. But
because when I was first watching Silicon Valley, I was like, yeah, I can see this Otacon, and he knows the director. Maybe he'll be able to cast him. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna pull off him wetting his pants. They're just probably gonna tell him put this like water thing. It's plastic bottle, plastic bag of water.
They can't do that in post. Use CG piss.
Have like the steam come up and everything.
I do have a feeling it's going to be a CG fest.
Oh God, no! They should.
Oh, that's the one thing. That's the one thing that I'm asking myself is how are they going to pull off Metal Gear?
It's Sony Pictures. Wait, they're cheap. They don't want to use practical effects.
Exactly, and that's unfortunate because I think CG has its place, but I think like Mad Men.
Yeah.
Mad Max. The latest one, it's a mixture of practical and CG, and I think it works.
Yeah.
Mostly practical. Very little CG.
I think Nolan kind of pioneered that. He kind of made like practical effects the in thing with Batman Begins, because he was kind of like it wasn't exactly a stipulation, but that was kind of the philosophy for the effects in the Batman movies he made. And you could tell, like it looks authentic, like the fucking truck flipping over. Remember that part?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or like the car chase, because it actually looks like a fucking car chase. That's some CG thing on the screen where the camera is just panning or some shit.
I would love for Metal Gear, for them to actually build some kind of model for the film to use.
Yeah, I could imagine like the close-up parts, like the legs. They could do that, like when he slams like Gray Fox into like the floor.
That's another thing. How would they translate Gray Fox to a live action?
You could get Ray Park to do stunts. I don't know, or it's like. I hope they just don't overuse green screen for that shit. I'd rather have a guy actually do backflips than some CG dude, because it looks really fake. Your eyes can tell between CG and actual people pretty well now, since we're...
I mean, it's gonna look insane. Like if they put him in the movie, he has to be in the movie, of course. The Cyborg Ninja is gonna look insane.
And back to the game. After at the end, right now, like it does look kind of cheesy, but the moral of the message type thing at the end. But for its time, it was pretty amazing, because it's one of the first games to push like having like a theme and have some sort of commentary about, one of the few games to have some sort of political commentary. And rather than just be a straight up action flick, Nostalgia was like, nukes are bad, nukes are bad. They do all this. Basically, that's what her gist was, and like,
Yeah, it was giving you all these statistics at the end and everything.
yeah.
About
And they also had the
players.
personal message about not being dictated by your genes.
Right.
That actually inspired somebody I know to get up and start working out and lose a lot of weight, which they, for the longest time, like even their parents were like, "Oh no, it's in our genes," it's a genetic thing. And I think Kojima actually used that as an example, like, "Oh, like
Right.
I want to, try, overcoming what you think is like genetic. Obviously, there's some things you really can't,
Mhm.
Right.
but others it's like you definitely can. You can be your own thing."
Yeah, the Saga. Yeah, that was in. I think that was on one of the Metal Gear Saga DVDs.
Yeah.
Which I think it's a great message to people. Like I kind of noticed there's like the theming scheme for the Primary Solid games, and 2 dealt with memes, basically, information, like what information do we pass on to the next generation. And I think MGS 1 and 2 complemented each other in that sense.
Definitely.
That's why I think they did very well with each other, and the similarities between those two episodes are intentional. And let's not forget the end, the stinger at the end, where like, "Goodbye, Mr. President." Yeah,
Mr. President. Yeah. Doom, and then you hear that
that's when that
doom.
whole tradition started. And, yeah, it was a hallmark game for the industry. It had good voice acting. The localization set high standard in that regard. Because the stuff on that around that time, like Final Fantasy VII, though it was a great game, it had a lot of typos and weird stuff, like Eris saying "this guy" or "sick." I mean, you're kind of aware of that. Yeah. Or that, like,
It just felt it felt very real the way these characters were saying things in Metal
Yeah.
Gear, and it made the situation like more real,
and I think why people like MGS1 so much, it's the most pared down. It pared down compared to the other ones. I mean, sure, there's like supernatural stuff, like Vulcan Raven getting eaten by ravens and having shamanistic powers and freaking Psycho Mantis and the ninja, but it was sort of a bit more grounded, but there's still some crazy stuff. It's like I did kind of notice that in anything pre-MGS2, Police Snatcher and Police Knots and Metal Gear Solid, they were pared down back a bit, and there's less fantastical villains and more things that are grounded in their own universes.
Did any of you guys, what'd you guys think of the twist that Master Miller was actually Liquid?
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, when I was a kid, oh, you bastard.
I can't remember my reaction to that. I'm sure it was the same thing.
What's
Like,
interesting is if you go back and you listen to Miller, it's the same voice as Liquid, and it's just funny that like I don't think anybody figured it out.
Oh,
I was more confused, and I was more interested in what the fuck was going on with the Cyborg Ninja having the same voice as the Dark Chief. I was
that
like,
was a cost reduction measure, though, because when you use the same voice actor, then you don't have to pay. You're not going to pay him 2 paychecks, right? You only paid him 1. Yeah.
yeah, but playing that the first time, I was like, could the Cyborg Ninja be the Dark Chief? And I didn't know, I didn't know who Gray Fox was.
Yeah, but Miller, because he uses that voice, non-English voice. He uses that in Scooby-Doo, some Scooby-Doo movie we watched when I was a kid. I'm like, why is this guy sound like Master Miller? Oh wait, it's Cap Clark. Never mind.
Oh yeah, but it was just, man, Cam Clark's performance
Oh, yeah.
was just brilliant.
Did you notice, like, compared to the Twin Snakes, like, how it's directed? You notice, like, when that reveal happens, like, in the MGS, when he slowly started to break his accent?
Yeah.
But in Twin Snakes, he just uses a straight Miller voice.
Yeah.
And I think it was a lot better in the first one where he kind of, don't get me wrong, Chris Zimmerman in Salter is a great voice VA director, but when he subtly changes, like he goes, "Yeah, I did this, and I made you put the cow key," but it's all like, "Snake, that's not Master Miller. It's me."
Dude,
You know what I didn't know
that?
till recently? If you call Miller right after you, I think, heat up the key, he's like really excited. He's like, "Yeah, Snake, that's the last key. You should hurry up." And Snake goes, "Master, I've never heard you so excited." And then he just like shuts the fuck up, and like that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, that's the foreshadowing right there.
Yeah.
What?
But it's just so interesting that, they do have the same voice. And, if you already know the twist, you're just like, yeah, like, how did I not notice this? But it doesn't seem like anybody
That
ever thought that, Miller is even voiced by the same guy as Liquid until the twist is revealed.
well, there's another plot twist to add on. It's kind of a thing was when Naomi Hunter kind of reveals herself about being Gray Fox's sister. Because I know, like in Metal Gear 2, like when he was trying to get Nastasia into the United States, Frank Yeager, he used the alias called Frank Hunter. So if you played Metal Gear 2, you would know that. And you're like, why do they have the same last name?
Holy shit, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because
I wonder if people did make that connection. Because I think like maybe one or two people in the United States played Metal Gear 2 before Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's some other foreshadowing there. And, I love that British accent. I think it's kind of hot sounding. I remember like Knights of the Old Republic, Bastila, the Jedi, played the Jedi that's always with you. I'm like, how come she sounds like me? Oh wait, it's Jennifer Hale. Like the fucking
Yes.
Mandalorian mercenary, the Baby the Boba Fett looking guy. He was voiced by Solidus, and he kind of has the perfect. Whoa! In my day, I used the Mandalorian suit, and I was like, wow, I was like, that's cool how it had a lot of same voice, kind of overlap with actors from Metal Gear in it. And, because the voice acting industry is kind of a small industry, it's very tightly knit.
It seems like those guys are always hanging out. Like, and then didn't Hader and Quinn Flynn say that Jennifer was always throwing parties and
I
stuff?
want to go to Jennifer Hale's parties. Shit.
Yeah, I would do that. Or like, I know that about Ototron Ramen, right, in Little Tokyo.
Yeah.
I think David eats there. That's what my friend said. So Ryan wanted to eat there just to see if he was there.
That's funny.
But yeah, he does eat there, and I think I think he actually went to Game Dude once because I saw Twitch there at one time.
Isn't that located in like North Hollywood?
Yeah, it's on Sherman Way,
Yeah.
right? Everado has no idea what the fuck we're talking about because he lives in Texas.
I can tell it's like a.
Yeah,
I mean, to quote Ocelot, kind of, Los Angeles is a big place. So,
Los
I mean,
Angeles is a very
if you look at a map of the city of Los Angeles, it's fucking absurd that all of this land. I've lived in LA and didn't realize I was living in LA City.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like this. It's the valley is considered like the greater Los Angeles area, though. So it's still LA. But let's just kind of wrap this up. Any final thoughts on Metal Gear Solid?
Great classic. I wish they figured out a way to put it on Steam, because it did make a PC port, and if you mess around with the settings, you can get it running on a modern rig.
Yeah, you kind of have to use like I think a patch, artificial patch to do that.
Yeah, you have to do some stuff, but you know, if they manage to do that officially and put it on Steam, that would be great. I think a lot of people need to experience it, but I think the only legal way to do that right now is PlayStation 3, Vita, and I guess if you happen to find a PC copy that's used or something and set it up on PC.
Yeah. Well,
I've tried looking for one, but
Yeah, I mean, I admit that I pirated the PC version just to fuck around with it.
yeah, I actually have a real disc of it. I bought it when I was a kid. I still
Oh
have
wow.
Yeah, so it works on, like, I have an old 98 PC in my mom's room, so I just play it there. But my final thoughts of Metal Gear Solid, it's a classic. It kind of defined cinematic storytelling in games, for better or worse, because, you know, people tend to think cinematic is a bad thing now. but I think you know, that presentation, you know, is kind of a unique thing in the industry now, and it kind of popularized the stealth genre, because you know, before that there was just Castle Wolfenstein, not Wolfenstein 3D. I'm talking about the first Wolfenstein games by Silas Weaver. And what's funny about that, he was inspired by the same movie that inspired, you know, why I think Kojima wanted to make a stealth game. It was The Great Escape.
Yep.
Then again, there was no internet back then, so it was probably all coincidental.
Yeah.
It's happened to the fact that Silas wanted to set it in World War II because he was tired of science fiction studies. But Kojima, I wish they actually met though. But unfortunately, Werner passed away, I think, in the mid-90s, which is a sad thing. He was a big dude though, really big dude. But he did meet up with the id Software guys. That was kind of cool, because they basically bought the rights for Wolfenstein to make Wolf 3D back then.
Yeah.
But it was a great testament. It was a great you know, achievement for the industry. There's a script, you know, voice acting, presentation, a lot, and you know, a lot of a lot of modern games have a lot of scripted events. You know, MGS1 kind of had that trend. And, you know, compared to Call of Duty, I think it still does it better, because at least, I mean, the game may still be funneling you through the story, but at least you could, like, you know, dick around, like put C4 on guards while they're peeing or something like that. It gave you some form of freedom compared to, you know, Call of Duty, where you go follow Captain Price, and there's a big follow arrow in front of him, which is kind of you know, insulting to my intelligence. I'm like, it's obviously at the follow this guy. He's saying, come over here. I don't know, like, I don't like that dumbing down of in games and such. It's kind of aggravating. I'm glad like this year's E3 showed me that they're kind of good step away from that. Like I saw
why do you,
like a shooter.
I feel like the Souls games have definitely kind of pushed for more difficult games.
Yeah, and just not holding your hand excessively.
Yeah.
Like press this to do that. I mean, MGS does that, but you could just call up through the codec rather than it just throwing it in your face like most modern games.
Oh, and especially Metal Gear Solid 5. I mean, a lot of the conversations are optional.
Yeah, right. They're all tapes, and
yeah, you have to push the codec button to.
Yeah.
You have to push it yourself to. You know, have Ocelot tell you all this information.
And you know, it also had the little Easter eggs when you kept on doing that saving. Mailing would get pissed at you and then stick her tongue out. Anyone remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And it actually inspired me to get in the industry, because I thought, like, you know, we can make cool games, and maybe like right now, me and this my friend doing a project might be able to, you know, get something done. And you, Eve, what's your final thoughts on Metal Gear Solid?
It was just a huge part of my childhood. I spent so many years playing it over and over again, just fucking around, like you said, putting C4 on guards, and then really digging into the briefing files and everything. And that's what got me into the series. The briefing files did a really good job of getting me curious about who Big Boss really was and all this other stuff. I don't think they should try to remake it again. I know Kojima said that he wanted another studio to try to give it another shot. I think they should just let it be. It was perfect. You know, the PS1 is just perfect. Everyone should experience that version. And as for the movie, you know, I hope the movie is based off the Shadow Moses incident, and I really want to see the rope rappelling scene make it into the live
Oh yeah,
action
that was
movie.
cool.
So
That was really cool.
that's one of the coolest action sequences, and you know,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And and at the time, just another thought. This is the last thought here. And at the time, '98, that was kind of like lightning in a bottle that year. You had like Ocarina of Time, Half-Life. Half-Life was a highly influential game. It basically was the kind of the the origin of using scripted events to tell a story in a shooter, and and deviating away from like getting a card key and going to the exit, and rather having a more organic flow to a game. Metal Gear Solid 1 had that too. So it's basically kind of the pillars of modern gaming. And just to end it, our next episode's gonna be about Snake Eater, about the scene, and you're gonna see the origin of Big Boss and such, and how the backlash of MGS2 kind of reflected on 3. All right, and that's about it. You guys take care. And visit our site at PlayStationHaven.com.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night.